All right, let's talk about AI. With these new tools, you can spin up a startup idea, a slick landing page, even a whole pitch deck, all in a single afternoon. It feels like magic. But this incredible speed, it's also creating a really dangerous trap, one that gets you building a convincing fantasy instead of a real business. So today, we're going to show you exactly how to spot that trap and how to avoid it. I want you to burn this quote into your brain because it's the key to everything we're about to talk about. Coherence is not evidence. Just because an AI-generated idea sounds good because it's logical and hangs together, that doesn't mean it's actually connected to reality. And that is the seductive danger we're all facing right now. I mean, just think about that for a second. The sheer speed. In a few hours, you can have what looks for all the world like a totally legitimate startup, ready to go. The feature lists are perfect, the market size is always massive, the landing page, it looks incredible. Everything feels so polished, so real. And it all sounds so plausible, right? You feel like you're just crushing it, making incredible progress. But if everything looks so good, where's the catch? What is this trap that so many smart, capable founders are falling right into? Okay, first up, let's get right into it. The AI startup trap. We're going to define exactly what this thing is and why AI makes it so much more tempting and so much more dangerous than ever before. And here it is. This is the core of it. The trap is that AI is amazing at generating solutions looking for problems. It starts with the cool thing AI can do, not with a real-world pain. It's fantastic at making something feel real, but it can't give you the one thing a business absolutely cannot survive without: a specific problem that happens to a specific person at a specific moment with a very, very real cost. Without that, you don't have a business. You just have a story. And you see these everywhere. We'll build an AI tool for travel planning, or we'll optimize energy consumption with AI. They sound so impressive, so innovative. But let's be honest, these are headlines, not ideas. They start from the solution, the cool AI, and then try to work backward to find a problem. The second you ask, okay, but who exactly is this for? The whole thing just falls apart. So, why is it so easy to fall for these headlines? Well, it's because AI creates three incredibly powerful illusions that trick our brains into thinking we're making real progress. Let's break down each one. First up, we've got the speed illusion. You type in a prompt and, boom, out spits 20 business ideas. It feels so productive, right? But what have you really done? You've just generated 20 unproven stories. You haven't actually made any progress. You've just created a bigger pile of things you now have to go validate. Next, and this one is really subtle, is the specificity illusion. AI gives you this incredibly detailed list of product features, right down to the button copy. It feels like you've got it all figured out. But here's the trick. It's specificity about the solution, not specificity about the customer's pain. And that difference, it's a critical and often fatal one. And finally, there's the inevitability illusion. You know how AI writes with this incredible authority? This is the future of X. Users will demand this. It's so convincing that founders start to believe it. But that confidence, it's just a writing style. It is not, and I repeat, not proof of market demand. It's treating a wild guess like a foregone conclusion, and it's so easy to get swept up in it. Okay, so that's the trap. How do we fight back? How do we ground our brainstorming and our businesses in cold, hard reality? Well, there's a simple but incredibly powerful test that can cut through all the noise. It's called the receipt test. And I want you to think of it like this. An idea only earns the right to your time, your money, and your energy if it can produce a receipt, which is basically proof that a real problem actually happened in the real world. It's the ultimate antidote to all this AI-generated hype. And at the heart of this test are four dead simple questions. First, who? And I mean exactly who. Not users, but a specific job title. Second, when? Not sometimes, but a specific real trigger moment. Third, what breaks? Not it's inefficient, but what exactly is the failure mode? And finally, what's the cost? Not just it's bad, but what is the measurable cost in time, money, or stress? And here's the bottom line. If you can't answer those four questions with crisp, factual answers, you don't have a business idea, you don't even have a starting point. You have a concept. And you know what? Concepts are cheap. A receipt, on the other hand, proof of a real problem, that is rare, and that is incredibly valuable. Okay, enough theory. Let's put this test into action. We're going to take one of those vague AI-generated headlines from earlier and actually use this framework to turn it into something real, something sellable. So here's the 5-step process. First, you write the receipt. You get the facts down. Then, you name the workaround. What are people cobbling together today to solve this? From there, you pick your wedge, the smallest possible starting point. Then, you define what real proof of demand looks like, maybe a pre-order. And finally, you run one simple test this week to find the truth. Now just look at this transformation. It is night and day. On the left, we have that vague headline, AI for travel planning. And on the right, we have a real problem after we applied the receipt test. We go from travelers to a super specific operations manager at a boutique tour operator. From before a trip to the chaotic 48 hours before departure. From planning is hard to rebooking tickets causes costly errors. And from stress to actual painful costs, refunds, angry customers, and late-night work. See the difference?
What this process does is it transforms a fluffy fantasy into a sharp, painful operational problem. And suddenly you have a specific buyer who feels that pain. You have a clear trigger moment when they need your help, and you have a measurable cost that you can solve. You found a real, sellable wedge where AI can actually be useful.
So, what does this all mean for you? Knowing about the trap and knowing about the test, how should you actually use AI to find your next business idea? Let's get really tactical. Here's the big shift. Use AI to become stricter, not more imaginative. You need to flip the script. Instead of asking it for dreamy ideas, turn it into your own in-house adversary. Use a prompt like the skeptical strategist and command it to stress test your idea against the receipt test. Force it to poke holes in your concept. Make AI your engine for rigor, not just for rambling. And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. AI is not your strategy. It's a tool. It's an amplifier, and it will amplify whatever you give it. If you start with a real, validated problem, a receipt, AI will make you faster and more effective. But if you start with a fantasy, it will only make you more convincingly and more dangerously wrong. So as you move forward, I want you to ask yourself this one simple question. Look at your idea. Look at your pitch deck. Are you building a business grounded in a real-world receipt, or are you just building a really beautiful story? The answer to that question will determine absolutely everything.